For 9 seasons, Alice entertained audiences with its humor, heart, and unforgettable characters. The sitcom became a beloved classic, following the lives of a hardworking waitress and her quirky coworkers at Mel's Diner. But while the show's legacy lives on, many of its talented actors have sadly passed away. Some left us too soon, while others enjoyed long careers before their final curtain call. From series regulars to memorable guest stars, their contributions shaped the world of Alice and left a lasting mark on television history. In this list, we honor 42 actors who have tragically died, celebrating their lives and the joy they brought to fans. Linda Lavin portrayed Alice Hyatt in Alice, 1976, at the age of 39, playing a resilient single mother striving for a better life. Though the role made her a household name, it became both a blessing and a curse as she struggled to escape its shadow in later years. After Alice, she found herself typecast, with promising opportunities dwindling. Her personal life was equally tumultuous. Her first marriage to Ron Leidman was marked by clashing ambitions, and her second marriage to Kip Niven ended in betrayal, leaving her emotionally devastated. She never had children, a regret she carried privately. In her later years, health issues and financial concerns forced her into an increasingly reclusive existence. The woman who once played such a strong-willed character spent her final days in quiet solitude, her voice fading along with her once thriving career. She passed away on December 29, 2024, at the age of 87 due to complications from lung cancer, a lonely end for a woman who once lit up television screens.
What kind of a college was that?
It's a small one run by the Three Stooges.
Vic Tayback became Mel Sharples in Alice, 1976, at 46, perfectly embodying the gruff yet secretly caring diner owner. His booming voice and commanding presence made him a fan favorite, but success came at a price. Despite earning steady work, he found himself forever associated with Mel, unable to land roles that showcased his full range. Though married to Sheila McKay, his long hours and industry struggles strained their bond, and his son, Christopher, grew up with a distant father more devoted to his career than his family. Stress and unhealthy habits worsened his health, yet he pushed on, fearing obscurity more than anything. In his later years, he suffered from heart problems, though he refused to slow down. On May 25, 1990, at the age of 60, he died of a sudden heart attack at home. His death was a shock, yet within Hollywood, it barely made waves, as the industry had already moved past its once beloved diner owner.
If it did, you'd be worth a fortune.
Hey, Flo, just because you're a dame doesn't mean you can't get belted. Remember, I'm an equal
Philip McKeon played Tommy Hyatt in Alice, 1976, at the age of 12, portraying Alice's wise and supportive son. Unlike his character, real life was far less kind to him. Struggling to transition from child star to adult actor, he faced rejection after rejection, his once bright career slipping away. With Hollywood doors closing, he moved behind the scenes, working in radio and production, but the absence of fame weighed on him. His personal life was equally lonely. He never married, had no children, and spent most of his later years in isolation. Health problems began to consume him, worsening year by year, yet he remained private about his suffering. By the time of his death on December 10, 2019, at the age of 55, he had been long forgotten by the industry. His passing, after a long illness, barely made headlines, a tragic end for someone who had once symbolized youthful optimism on screen.
Relax, I'm at the piano.
Come on, Mom, level with me. Did you love Dad?
Beth Howland portrayed Vera Louise Gorman in Alice, 1976, at 35, playing the sweet, clumsy waitress whose innocence brought humor to the show. But behind the laughter, she struggled with severe anxiety and lifelong insecurities, fearing she would never be more than a side character in Hollywood. Her first marriage to actor Michael J. Pollard ended in heartbreak, leaving her to raise their daughter alone, facing both emotional and financial strain. Though she later found stability with actor Charles Kimbrough, she withdrew from the spotlight, feeling Hollywood had no place for her anymore. In her later years, she lived quietly, hiding her battle with lung cancer from even close friends. She refused treatment, choosing to let fate take its course. She passed away on December 31, 2015, at the age of 74, her death unannounced for months, a quiet and almost forgotten farewell for an actress who once brought joy to so many.
Who's that was calling? The insurance company about her husband.
The dead one?
Yeah, she wants to find out if they covered him.
I hope somebody did.
Marvin Kaplan played Henry in Alice starting in 1978 at the age of 51, portraying the quirky telephone repairman with a dry wit and an undercurrent of loneliness. Though he had a distinctive comedic style, his career never reached true stardom, leaving him stuck in small, often uncredited roles. Despite a deep passion for acting, he was often overshadowed by bigger names, leading to professional frustration. His personal life was equally unfulfilling. His brief marriage ended quietly, and he never remarried or had children. In his later years, he withdrew from the industry, his social circle shrinking as old colleagues moved on or passed away. Though he continued voice work to stay afloat financially, he lived modestly and grew increasingly isolated. He died alone on August 25, 2016, at the age of 89 from natural causes, his passing barely noticed by the world. A quiet end for a man who had spent decades trying to make people laugh.
It's okay. I work for the phone company. You do for a new one anyway.
Dave Madden took on the role of Earl Hicks in Alice in 1978 at 47, playing the affable diner regular whose humor and charm made him a fan favorite. Best known for The Partridge Family, he once had a promising career, but as years passed, the roles dried up, leaving him struggling to stay relevant. His personal life was equally troubled. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce, with lingering resentment on both sides. Though he later remarried, he never truly found peace, and his relationships with his children were distant, marked by misunderstandings and regret. His later years were plagued by financial worries and deteriorating health, as he suffered from congestive heart failure and kidney disease. By the time he passed away on January 16, 2014, at the age of 82, he had faded from public consciousness, spending his final days reflecting on a career and a life that had not turned out the way he had hoped.
I beg your pardon?
To go. Oh. No, I got the Frank Lloyd Wright high school soccer team in a bus out front, and we're on our way home from an...
Charles Levin joined Alice in 1983 at 34, playing the awkward but lovable Elliot Novak. Though his role brought him brief recognition, his career never truly took off, and after the show ended, he struggled to find steady work. Typecast in forgettable minor roles, he gradually slipped into obscurity, his financial and emotional well-being crumbling with each passing year. His personal life fared no better, his marriage collapsed, and he became increasingly withdrawn, losing touch with many of his friends and colleagues. As he aged, his mental health deteriorated, and he battled depression and loneliness. In a tragic twist, he went missing in June 2019, his car abandoned on a desolate road in Oregon. After days of searching, his body was discovered at the bottom of a steep ravine, his death the result of an accidental fall. He was 70 years old, his final moments spent lost, confused, and alone, a devastating end to a life marked by fading dreams and solitude.
Are you aware that you just broke the law? Municipal Code 19-204?
I did? What did she do?
She jaywalked.
Ted Gehring played Charlie in Alice from 1979 at 50, portraying the gruff yet reliable character who added a no-nonsense balance to the lighthearted diner atmosphere. Though he was a familiar face in television, he never escaped the shadow of being a character actor, doomed to supporting roles that never brought lasting fame. His long marriage was more out of obligation than happiness, filled with unspoken disappointments and emotional distance. He had 2 children, but his career and personal struggles kept him detached from their lives. As he aged, he found himself increasingly irrelevant in Hollywood, his work drying up just as his health began to fail. A diagnosis of lung cancer only deepened his despair, as he was forced to confront his mortality with little comfort from family or colleagues. On September 28, 2000, he succumbed to the disease at 71, his contributions to television largely forgotten, his final years marked by regret and the slow decline of a career that never brought him the recognition he craved.
Yeah, you know an old boy down Sweetwater's driving a tank truck. He said, when you get to Phoenix, whatever you do, don't miss Flo.
Patrick Cranshaw played Andy in Alice in 1976 at the age of 57, portraying a quirky and lovable character who added charm to the show. Though he had a career spanning decades, he was always a background actor, never achieving major stardom. This lack of recognition deeply affected him, as he watched younger actors rise to fame while he remained stuck in small, forgettable roles. He was briefly married, but the union ended in divorce, and he never had children, something he regretted deeply as he aged. Financial struggles plagued him in his later years, forcing him to take minor roles just to make ends meet. He finally gained wider recognition with his role in Old School, 2003, but by then, he was already in declining health. He spent his last years mostly alone, suffering from illness and reflecting on a lifetime of missed opportunities. He died from pneumonia on December 28, 2005, at 86, having never fully achieved the success he had long desired.
This is for you.
Andy, you don't have to give me a tip for a cup of coffee.
Oh, that's not a tip, honey bunch. That's for the telephone. Call me when you reach 50.
Martha Raye played Carrie Sharples in Alice starting in 1979 at the age of 63, portraying Mel's feisty and sharp-tongued mother. Carrie was opinionated, tough, and often clashed with her son, but underneath her gruff exterior was a deep love and protectiveness. Martha had once been one of Hollywood's most celebrated comedians, but by the time she joined Alice, her career had drastically faded. She married 7 times, each relationship ending in divorce or heartbreak, leaving her emotionally drained. She had 1 daughter, Melody, but their relationship was distant, filled with unresolved conflicts. Her final marriage to Mark Harris, a man 33 years younger, was widely criticized, with many believing he married her for financial security rather than love. In her later years, Martha suffered from multiple health issues, including severe circulation problems that nearly led to leg amputations. She died of pneumonia on October 19, 1994, at 78.
Harry, if you want to be a singer, go for it. I haven't given up my dream of making it someday.
But Alice, you're in your prime. Who wants to hire an old...
Kip Niven played Steve Marsh in 1981 at the age of 36, portraying a charming and charismatic love interest who often found himself in complicated relationships. Niven was a promising actor, gaining recognition in films like Earthquake and Magnum Force, but his career never reached the heights he had hoped for. After an early period of success, he struggled to secure major roles, often relegated to guest appearances and minor characters. His personal life was equally turbulent. His first wife, actress Susan Niven, tragically died in a car accident, leaving him devastated. His second marriage to actress Linda Lavin ended in a bitter and public divorce, further deepening his financial and emotional struggles. With mounting debt and declining health, his later years were filled with isolation. He died alone in his home on May 6, 2019, at the age of 73 from a heart attack, having spent his final years in obscurity.
Cute. Come here. What are you doing in Phoenix?
Well, I have my own computer company, and I've been traveling all over the country visiting my field offices.
Robert Hogan played Greg Stemple in 1977 at 44, embodying a shrewd and cunning troublemaker who frequently disrupted the lives of the main characters. A talented character actor, Hogan had an extensive career with appearances in Peyton Place, Law and Order, and The Rockford Files, but he never managed to escape the confines of supporting roles. Despite his dedication to the craft, true stardom eluded him. His personal life was marred by sorrow. His marriage to Mary Hogan ended in a bitter divorce, leaving him estranged from his children. As he aged, he became increasingly isolated, and his health deteriorated. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in his later years, a cruel disease that robbed him of his memories and independence. His final days were spent in confusion and loneliness, and he passed away on May 27, 2021, at the age of 87 from complications of pneumonia, far removed from the industry he once dedicated his life to.
Well, I try to look at this as an anthropologist. Man hasn't changed much over the centuries. A prehistoric man used to pursue his mate with a club. Modern man does it.
Susan Tolsky took on the role of female customer number 1 in Alice in 1980 at the age of 37, a minor character who existed on the periphery of Mel's Diner, her presence unnoticed by most, but adding a faint trace of realism to the chaotic world of the show. Though she had a long career in television and voice acting, she never found the mainstream recognition she craved. Hollywood was unkind to women who didn't fit the mold of leading ladies, and she was often cast in forgettable roles that left her feeling disposable. Despite her outward cheer, her personal life was a quiet tragedy. She never married, never had children, and as the years passed, her social circle shrank to a handful of acquaintances who rarely visited. In her later years, she suffered from chronic health problems and increasing isolation, her once busy career reduced to nothing but old clips and fading memories. She died alone on October 9, 2022, at the age of 79, the cause listed as natural.
We'll be taking you down to surgery any minute now. But first, we have to take our pulse.
Nursey, after it's all over,
Leonard Stone played Lenny in 1977 at 54, a quirky, eccentric character who brought humor to the show. Best known as Mr. Beauregard in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Stone had a lengthy but underappreciated career, often taking supporting roles that failed to showcase his full talent. Despite professional success, his personal life was marred by health struggles and the loss of his wife to cancer, a devastating blow from which he never fully recovered. As he aged, his battle with cancer became an unrelenting fight, leaving him physically weakened and dependent on caregivers. Financial strain added to his burdens, forcing him to sell cherished belongings to cover medical expenses. His later years were spent in and out of hospitals, battling increasing complications. He passed away on November 2, 2011, at 87 from cancer, his final days spent in a hospice facility, far from the spotlight he once knew, with only a few close friends by his side.
Is that right, Alice?
If it takes that.
Sorry, ladies. Times 10 at least.
Hamilton Camp played Clem in Alice in 1977 at 43, an ever-optimistic presence who added a sense of lightheartedness to the show. But behind the camera, his life was marked by an exhausting battle with personal demons. A talented musician and comedian, he had once been on the brink of stardom, but success continually slipped through his fingers. His marriage, once a source of stability, deteriorated as financial troubles mounted, and his growing reliance on alcohol created an unbridgeable rift between him and his wife. His children grew distant, unable to reconcile the loving father they had known with the erratic, troubled man he had become. By the 1990s, his career had faded, and he found himself performing in small, forgettable venues just to make ends meet. His health declined sharply due to years of neglect and stress, and arteriosclerosis ravaged his body, leaving him weak and frail. On October 2, 2005, at the age of 70, he died alone in his home.
Well, you know, that's what happens when the wife finds out about that cute little girl.
No, the cute little girl was...
Noble Willingham entered Alice in 1976 at 45 as Floyd, a reliable and friendly presence in the diner. Off-screen, he was a man who never truly felt at peace. A hard-working actor, he had roles in over 100 films and television shows, but he never achieved the recognition he had hoped for. His personal life was a series of disappointments. 2 failed marriages left him emotionally drained, and his strained relationship with his children filled him with regret. He had poured everything into his career, hoping that success would fill the emptiness inside him, but as he aged, the roles became scarcer, and his financial security crumbled. The stress took its toll on his health, and his heart, weakened by years of pressure and disappointment, finally gave out. On January 17, 2004, at the age of 72, he died from a heart attack, alone in his home, with no one there to hold his hand as he took his final breath.
We're going up there with the boys. Tell Alice about deer hunting.
Oh, there ain't nothing like it in the whole wide world, Alice. Center in the great.
Florence Halop played Old Lady in Alice in 1977 at the age of 54, bringing a feisty and sharp-witted presence to the show. Her character was an elderly woman who, despite her age, never hesitated to speak her mind, often adding sarcastic humor to the diner's lively atmosphere. Florence had been acting since childhood, yet she remained stuck in secondary roles, never reaching the stardom she had once dreamed of. She married George Gruskin, but their relationship was far from perfect, plagued by financial stress and long periods of separation due to her struggling career. They had 2 daughters, yet her busy work schedule often kept her away from home, leaving emotional distance between them. Her biggest professional success came late in life with Night Court, but it was tragically short-lived. In 1986, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, the result of years of heavy smoking. The disease spread aggressively, leaving her frail and in constant pain. She passed away on July 15, 1986, at 63.
For 2 blocks.
2 blocks.
Yeah, and you turn right.
Yeah.
And you'll see the buses right there.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Lou Cutell played Lou in Alice in 1981 at the age of 51, portraying a quirky, eccentric diner regular who added an unpredictable charm to the show. His character, though minor, provided comic relief, often engaging in humorous yet baffling conversations with the main cast. Despite a long career in Hollywood, Lou was perpetually typecast in oddball roles, never given the recognition he craved. He appeared in films and television for decades, but fame always eluded him, leaving him in a cycle of small, forgettable roles. His personal life was equally unfulfilled. Though he married, his relationship was strained by his constant financial insecurity and growing bitterness toward an industry that overlooked him. He had no children, a regret he carried into his later years. As he aged, work became scarce, and he faced mounting health issues. Dementia slowly robbed him of his memories, leaving him confused and disconnected. He passed away on November 21, 2021, at 91. Lucille Benson portrayed Grace in Alice in 1982 at the age of 68, playing a warm and nurturing woman who offered comfort and wisdom to the diner's patrons. Off-screen, however, Lucille's life was far from the warmth she projected. Despite a career spanning decades, she was constantly typecast as the kind-hearted older woman, never allowed to explore more complex roles. The lack of creative fulfillment weighed on her, leading to bouts of depression. She never married, and without a family to lean on, she spent most of her later years alone, relying on a small circle of friends. Her loneliness deepened as health problems began to arise. In 1983, she was diagnosed with liver cancer, a disease that progressed rapidly. Unable to work, she became isolated, spending her final months in a hospital bed, suffering in silence. She passed away on February 17, 1984, at the age of 69, with few people outside the industry even acknowledging her passing.
Of course, anything's possible.
We found this handbill last night when we came out of the bowling alley. Yeah, that's where we go to hit on the guys.
Nedra Volz played the gambler in Alice in 1978 at the age of 70, embodying a spirited and unpredictable woman who brought energy and mischief to the diner. Though she became a beloved character actress, she struggled for years to find stability in Hollywood. Before acting, she had a career in radio and music, but success was fleeting. She found her greatest fame in her later years, yet it came with a price. Decades of rejection and hardship had taken their toll. Her personal life was marked by loss and sacrifice. She was married to Orrin Volz, and though they remained together, their relationship suffered due to her constant pursuit of work. They had children, but her demanding career meant she was often absent, a regret she carried into her later years. As she aged, her body weakened, and Alzheimer's disease slowly erased the memories of the career she had fought so hard for. By the end, she could no longer recognize the faces of those who loved her. She passed away on January 20th, 2003, at 94.
My nickel, give me it.
Get lost, fatso! That's my nickel!
Give me that nickel. Give me that nickel. Give me that nickel. Give me that nickel. Oh, you...
Kenneth Mars stepped into the role of Billy Joe in Alice in 1977 at the age of 42, bringing an eccentric charm to the screen. Known for his over-the-top comedic performances in The Producers and Young Frankenstein, he had built a reputation as a comedic powerhouse. Yet, his laughter often masked deep personal struggles. His marriage to Barbara Newborn was outwardly stable but internally fraught with tension, as his career's unpredictability put financial and emotional strain on their relationship. His two daughters, Susanna and Rebecca, admired their father but resented his long absences and erratic moods. Mars was tormented by professional insecurity, fearing that he would never escape the shadow of his comedic persona and transition into more serious roles. In his final years, pancreatic cancer consumed him rapidly, robbing him of his booming voice and infectious energy. He passed away on February 12, 2011, at the age of 75.
That's gonna have to be my little secret.
Well, he was probably just passing by and saw you sign in the window.
You wasn't on your way to bed, was you?
Warren Berlinger portrayed Marion Bartlett in Alice in 1977 at the age of 40, infusing the character with an easy charm and quick wit. He enjoyed moderate success in Hollywood, appearing in Blue Denim and Cannonball Run, but was plagued by the knowledge that he never quite achieved the leading man status he had aspired to. His marriage to actress Betty Lou Keim was once a beacon of stability, but the weight of financial instability and his own growing self-doubt wore them down. Though they had 4 children, Berlinger struggled to connect with them, his depression manifesting in emotional distance and bursts of frustration. As the years passed, his acting offers dried up, leaving him to rely on voice work and minor guest appearances to survive. His health declined sharply in his 70s as cancer took hold, rendering him weak and unrecognizable from the once lively performer he had been. He died on December 2, 2020, at the age of 83.
Yeah.
Could we sit someplace?
What's up?
Oh, my name is Marion C. Bartlett. I'm with the Internal Revenue.
Doris Roberts played Mona Spivak in Alice in 1981 at the age of 56, delivering her signature brand of sharp-witted humor and unwavering strength. Despite her long and decorated career, including her beloved role as Marie Baron in Everybody Loves Raymond, Roberts's personal life was an ongoing struggle. She married writer William Goyen, but their union was short-lived, as his own inner battles and artistic frustrations strained their relationship beyond repair. Left to raise their only son, Michael, alone, Roberts juggled motherhood with an all-consuming career, often feeling guilty for the time she spent away from him. Though admired for her talent, she was never fully at peace, always fearing that Hollywood would one day forget her. As she aged, her health deteriorated, and strokes left her weakened, unable to perform the way she once had. The loneliness of old age crept in, and on April 17, 2016, at the age of 90, she passed away from a massive stroke.
See, you've always had a flair for decorating. I mean, to be able to make a home with junk like this.
Tony Longo portrayed Artie in 1982 at the age of 21, a lovable yet misunderstood gentle giant. Despite his natural talent and imposing presence, Longo struggled to break out of typecast roles, often playing bodyguards or henchmen in films like 16 Candles and The Last Boy Scout. His early promise faded as he found himself stuck in a cycle of minor roles and financial difficulties. His personal life was riddled with misfortune, his battle with obesity led to severe health complications, and he struggled with chronic pain that left him reliant on medication. His romantic relationships were short-lived, and he became increasingly distant from his children, unable to provide the stable home life he once dreamed of. Isolated and struggling to make ends meet, he succumbed to congestive heart failure and kidney failure on June 20, 2015, at the age of 53, leaving behind an unfinished career and a life filled with unrealized dreams. Mario Roccuzzo played a customer in Alice in 1982 at the age of 42, portraying a loyal diner patron who added to the everyday charm of Mel's establishment. Though his role was minor, Mario had spent his life as a working actor, constantly struggling for stability in Hollywood. He appeared in numerous television shows, often playing background characters, yet he never received the breakthrough role he longed for. His career frustrations bled into his personal life. His marriage, though initially happy, crumbled under financial strain. He had one son, but their relationship was distant, as Mario spent years prioritizing work over family, chasing a dream that never materialized. In his later years, his health declined significantly, and he faced years of failing mobility and worsening medical conditions. By the time he passed away on October 9, 2021, at 80, he had long been forgotten by the industry he devoted his life to, leaving behind a career of unrecognized talent and personal regrets. Who is your favorite character in Alice? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.